We are close to a week away from the NFL draft, and so now it's time to get serious, if we weren't serious already. These are my personal running back rankings for the 2025 draft class. And spoiler alert, I don't know if you've heard this, but this class is pretty good. We're going to start with the obvious one, Ashton Genty, Boise State. Come on down. My comp for him all along has been Alvin Kamara. The contact balance when he runs is striking. I think he has more than enough breakaway speed. I think his vision, patience, contact balance, as we mentioned, are all elite. I think he's an elite pass catcher. I know he didn't put that on display this past season, but Ashton Genty, number one in tier one, in a tier of his own. So we go to tier two, Omarion Hampton. And this is a real debate for me because I love the next running back in my ranking. But Omarion Hampton, at 6 feet tall, 221 pounds, doing what he did at the NFL Combine, running a 4.46, 21 years old. And the criticism of him has been, can he elude tackles? Can he move quickly, laterally? Is he more than just straight line speed? And I think that the body of work that we've seen, the back-to-back seasons with over 1,500 rushing yards, the pass catching ability, and just the way he can move at the size he is, makes him pretty much the clear-cut running back too. Now, he is not in a tier of his own. He's in a tier with several other running backs here that we're about to talk about. But for right now, as we are sitting here 2 weeks away from the NFL draft, less than that actually, I think Omarion Hampton has to be the RB2. Now we'll move on to RB3, and maybe my favorite running back at value is TreVeyon Henderson. And TreVeyon Henderson's a little bit smaller. You know, he weighed in at 202 at the NFL Combine, but man, he can move. And it's a 4.43 that looks every bit of a 4.43 on the film, because on the film, not only are you seeing him run away from defenders, not only are you seeing him elude defenders, making quick cuts with good vision and patience, you're also seeing him run routes as a wide receiver. You know, real routes, like wheel routes, just burning defenders. I mean, this guy's going to be a matchup nightmare for some team. I am really hoping that my Chicago Bears draft him, but I have a feeling he's not going to get out of the first round. That's my inkling, just because that's how good I think he is. And like I said, TreVeyon Henderson's probably my favorite running back in this entire class. So please, Chicago, if you can make that happen at pick 39 or 41, that would be incredible. Now we'll talk about another player that I've lowered a little bit. I've risen him back up to my RB4, and that's Caleb Johnson. 6 feet tall, 225 or 224 he weighed in at the Combine, 6'1". Sorry, I have two height and weights here listed. I'm not sure why I did that. That's confusing. One pre-combine, one post-combine, because I thought I'd be super prepared with the height and weight here, I guess. But Caleb Johnson, you know, he ran through a lot of holes that were paved for him by that really good offensive line there at Iowa. But the thing about Iowa is every other aspect of the Iowa offense was not very good. The quarterback, not very good. The wide receivers, not very good. It was basically all Caleb Johnson. He scored 57.5% of their touchdowns this season. And college defenses knew that. And they tried to stop him, and many times they could not stop him because Caleb Johnson is a really good running back. And I've come around to that. And if this were another class, Caleb Johnson, you better believe he would be in consideration for, you know, some classes RB1 overall. I mean, that, and he's the RB4 in tier 2, and some of these and the next running back too would be up there, but we won't talk about him just yet. But the point is, Caleb Johnson, you know, and Iowa runs a pro style offense, so he's going to be a great scheme fit depending on what NFL team decides to take him. He's going to be a good scheme fit for some team. And that, I think that's going to have him going really high on day 2. I don't think he's a round 1 pick, but I think he's a day 2 pick. Now, Quinshon Judkins, this is your meat and potatoes kind of running back. He's my RB5, 6 feet tall, 221, ran a 4.48. Now, I don't know if he's that fast on tape. I happen to agree with a lot of the film guys who say, he doesn't quite have the breakaway speed that you look for, but I think he's solid at just about everything that comes up on film, whether it's in pass protection, whether it's running in between the tackles, outside the tackles, pass catching. And I just think he's a dog. Like, I just think Quinshon Judkins has a very high dog factor. And I think that's going to lead him to be a very productive running back. And he could turn into a grinder, more of a grinder type running back that's dependent on volume. He doesn't have the upside of any of the other running backs, the Hendersons or the Johnsons in this tier, but he is a talented running back. I mean, he's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none, but at that size and that speed, I think he's going to be really good. So we're going to move down to tier 3 now. Dylan Sampson of the Tennessee Volunteers. Again, he is the new age running back. He is undersized. He produced when Jalen Wright was there last year. He produced in a big way this year. And this is the kind of running back that I look to target when I'm doing my rookie drafts because, he's a pass catcher and he's a super producer and he has breakaway speed. And I know he didn't test at the NFL Combine, so that scares some people. But when you're able to score 22 touchdowns in the SEC, catch 20 passes. Last year, he caught 17 passes, so it's not too far off the 20 reception threshold that we're looking for. And he did that last year, in 2023, 600 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns, another receiving touchdown with Jalen Wright there. That's impressive. And when you turn on the tape, he's very agile, he's very slippery, very elusive, and very fast. So I like Dylan Sampson quite a bit. He kicks off tier 3 for me. Devin Neal is another one of these running backs that I feel for some people he has been lowered down their rankings, but Devin Neal for me, he's one of my favorite running backs in this class. I know the 40 time of 4.58 wasn't great, but if you look at his production at the University of Kansas, it is very rare to see somebody produce the way he did for 3 consecutive seasons, dating all the way back to 2022. Over 1,000 yards rushing, 9 rushing touchdowns, 21 catches, and then in back-to-back seasons, over 1,200 rushing yards, 16 touchdowns, and at least 24 receptions in every season. And then the patient running style, the vision to make the most out of every single run, I think is elite. And I think, my comp for him has been Le'Veon Bell light the entire way. But round 3 to the Steelers feels like a perfect fit to me. But let me know what you think in the comments. Moving on down, Brashard Smith. Remember the name Brashard Smith because he's going to be this year's Tyrone Tracy Jr. Very similar career arc. Started as a wide receiver, transitioned to a running back, eventually ends up at SMU, transfers from Miami to SMU. The pass catching chops show up on tape. They really do. And the burst and the speed. And I think he has pretty good instincts for a running back that this was his first year. And like I said, the speed shows up on tape. The 4.39 speed is apparent. And then this year, in his first year as a running back, 1,329 rushing yards, 18 total touchdowns, 39 receptions. Again, he's going to bring that pass catching ability with him to wherever his NFL destination is going to be. I think Minnesota, having him sit behind Aaron Jones for a year would be absolutely perfect. I think he'd be the perfect Aaron Jones replacement. So Brashard Smith is a guy that you need to know about. I have him much higher. I know Matt Babich has him a lot higher in his rankings than consensus. So just remember the name. I think he is going to be a guy to look out for. Bashul Tutin is up next. We all know what happened with the NFL Combine. The NFL Combine, he ran a 4.32, And you look at his profile, and just about everything is off the charts good. He's 5'9", 206. The speed is obviously there. The burst for that kind of size is elite. The college production was there in back-to-back seasons. 2023, over 800 rushing yards, 27 receptions, 12 touchdowns. And then last year, even better, 1,158 rushing yards, 17 touchdowns, 22 receptions. So this is the kind of running back that could absolutely hit in a major way, especially if he finds a good landing spot, because these are the kinds of running backs that can make a huge difference for fantasy football. And that's how we're approaching this from a fantasy football lens. So please, if Bashul Tutin can somehow find a way to Kansas City, that would be amazing. But that's not the point of this episode. It's to give you my rankings. So let's go to tier 4. And I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care about the speed. I mean, speed is nice. We just talked about a running back with insane speed. But Cam Scatabo, man, I just love his game. My RB10 in this class. Weighed in just under 220 pounds at the NFL Combine, just under 5 feet 10. And he is just a solid workhorse type of running back. He reminds me of David Montgomery. I know the 40 time, adjusted 40 time. He ran a 4.65 at his pro day. So that's probably closer to 4.7. But let's not make this same mistake again. Just because the measurables aren't where we would want them to be doesn't mean that Cam Scatabo is not a good player, because he can rush in between the tackles, outside the tackles. He can move laterally a lot quicker than you think he can. He can pass protect. He can catch passes. And he's tough to bring down in the open field. He might not be able to run away from you, but you're going to have a hell of a time trying to tackle him. And again, my comp for him this entire time has been David Montgomery. So those are my top 10 running backs. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe if you're liking it. So we're going to go into running back number 11, and that is RJ Harvey. RJ Harvey's risen pretty far up my rankings, and I'm pretty conservative usually. I try not to raise anybody too high or drop anybody too low just on a bad combine number or a bad this or a bad that. But it's hard to deny that RJ Harvey hasn't been impressive throughout the process. He goes to the NFL Combine, and he runs a 4.40 at 5 feet 8, 205 pounds. His college stats are off the charts good, especially the last couple years. 1,400 rushing yards in 2023, 19 receptions. Then last year, 1,577 rushing yards, 25 total touchdowns, 20 receptions. So the college production's there. The film looks good. And I get it. He's a little bit older of a prospect, but that doesn't bother me as much as maybe it bothers some other people. Now we're gonna go to my RB 12, and that's DJ Giddens. Another year, DJ Giddens might be a top 6 or a top 8 running back, but this year is different. He's 6 feet tall, 212 pounds, ran a 4.43 40-yard dash. He has an elite burst, and the college production over the past 2 years at Kansas State, really good. 13 touchdowns in 2023, 1,226 yards, 29 receptions. That's the big one for me. And then this past year, 1,343 yards, 8 touchdowns, 21 receptions. And the film matches up with the production. He pops on tape. He can do it all. He can pass protect. He can catch passes. And he's still just 21 years old. He can run inside the tackles, outside the tackles. Very good player. RB13 is Jordan James. And I had James higher earlier on in the process. Some people have lowered him even further than this. I am not one of those people. Now I understand, he's a little bit smaller, 5'10", 205 pounds. But what impressed me the most was he was able to produce in 2023 at Oregon with a running back there named Bucky Irving. I don't know if you've heard of him or not. But 759 rushing yards, 12 touchdowns, 15 receptions in 2023. And then this season, 1,267 rushing yards, 15 total touchdowns, and 26 receptions. and he's just 21 years old. What I like most about James is his ability to cut. I think he'd be a perfect fit in a one-cut zone scheme, like a Kyle Shanahan. I could see him really liking a Jordan James type player. Let's move to our tier 5, RB14, and that's going to be Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon, not the same type of player as Chuba Hubbard, but following a similar career path. Because I don't know what exactly is going on at Oklahoma State, but it just seems like the running backs there in their final year don't live up to the expectations. But Ollie Gordon, he's 21 years old. He, in 2023, I mean, a lot of people, a lot of fans are like, what have you done for me lately? And 1,731 rushing yards, 22 total touchdowns, 39 receptions, all at 6'1", 226 pounds. Now, I know he ran a 4.6 40, 4.61 40-yard dash. I think Ollie Gordon's good, and he's a little bit lower on my ratings because of the testing numbers and because of the 2024 season that he had. But imagine if he would have put up a similar season, maybe not as good, maybe just 1,200 rushing yards. I mean, he still scored 14 touchdowns and caught 30 passes this year. Just the efficiency was just down a little bit, but gosh, I mean, still impressive stuff from Ollie Gordon, and he's definitely somebody that I am going to have my eye on later in rookie drafts. Now, the next running back on my board is Taj Brooks. Taj Brooks is another one of these guys that produced at a very high level at Texas Tech. 4.52 40-yard dash at 5'9", 214 pounds. The past 2 seasons, over 1,500 rushing yards, back-to-back-to-back seasons with at least 27 receptions. So he's very consistent in that regard. 18 touchdowns this past year, and he's not going to blow you away with speed or size, but he's just very solid and he's very elusive, and he can make defenders miss. And so that's why I like him. He's just a very solid running back. Next up on my list is Damian Martinez, University of Miami. Now, Damian Martinez is very impressive that he was able to produce at the level he was able to produce at Miami. Back-to-back years, really. I mean, if you want to go back to 2022, 982 yards, 7 total touchdowns. The only knock against him is he's not much of a pass catcher, 17 receptions this past year. But I think he's a really solid running back. In 2023, 1,185 yards rushing, 9 touchdowns. In 2024, just over 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, 17 receptions. Again, not much of a pass catcher, and that's why I don't have him as high as maybe some other people. But Damian Martinez is a solid running back and a pretty good prospect. Let's go to Marcus Yarns in tier 6. So this will be the final tier that we will talk about. And Marcus Yarns is my RB17. He's not going to blow you away with his production. Not going to really blow you away with his profile, really, although the speed is apparent on film. He's a little bit older of a prospect, so he's probably, I mean, your league mates are not going to be interested in this guy, I can almost promise you. If you really pay attention to the film, you can see some of what gets me excited for Marcus Yarns. Again, he fits the mold of an undersized running back who's not a bad pass catcher out of the backfield and who produced in college, albeit it was at Delaware. But, we've never seen a running back produce at a small school, have we? That's just not something that happens. It actually does happen quite often. So Marcus Yarns, a small school guy that I think has a lot of good traits. And again, we don't have much to go on. His college production was good, not great, but what I'm going off of is the traits. He's an undersized guy that I think is fast and can do some good things at the NFL level. So we're going to RB18, and that would be Trevor Etienne. He weighed in at 5'9", another undersized guy, 5'9", 198 pounds. He's not quite 21 years old, so he's young. He's also very fast, 4.42 40-yard dash, and the college production is not going to jump out at you unless you consider, in 2022, if I'm doing my math right, 18 years old. rushed for 719 yards, 6 touchdowns. And then the past 2 seasons, over 20 receptions, 21 receptions in 2023, 32 receptions in 2024. So the pass catching aspect of his game, not bad. And again, you're talking about a younger running back with some upside here. Okay burst. Now we'll go to Jaden Blue, another one of these guys. I think I have a type. I don't know. But for fantasy football, I want to target some of these higher upside running backs that can catch passes out of the backfield. And Jaden Blue caught 42 passes this past year, scored 14 total touchdowns at the University of Texas. So that's somebody that I want to make a bet on in my rookie drafts, because if that hits, it could be nothing. I mean, Jaden Blue, he might get drafted on day 3, and he might be a bust. Well, a bust would be a strong for a day 3 pick. These are the kinds of prospects that I'm personally going to take chances on, and I recommend you do the same, because if they hit, they could really hit big. And then the last player we're going to talk about is Woody Marks from USC. Just another one of these solid guys that I think could make a difference at the next level. Woody Marks, 5'10", 207, productive in his last year at USC, over 1,100 rushing yards. What's really impressive to me, 47 receptions this past year, 23 the year before, 48 the year before that. So he's a good pass catcher. The athletic profile isn't going to wow you. He's a little bit older of a prospect, but I like the tape. I like what he can do. That's my top 20 running backs and tiers. Let me know what you think in the comments. Some of the running backs that just missed out on the top 20, Jarquez Hunter, I have at 21, Kyle Managai at 22, Raheem Sanders at 23, Donovan Edwards, Le'Veon Moss, Khalil Mullings, Jaquindon Jackson, LaQuint Allen, Corey Kiner, just to name a few there going on down. I think that goes down to 29. Yeah, so let me know what you think of that in the comments. Like, subscribe, and until next time, be good, everybody, and we will see you later.